a tiny white what?
Rock.
Oh.
Just keep going, that's the key.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
They don't care. It's a
like
community
cheerleading.
college. Just
Yeah,
say right
just
rock.
like-
And then they don't care.
They do care, don't underestimate a community college. Oh, he's an expert.
All of a sudden, you have so many secrets to keep from others, so many lies to hide from your friends, your parents, your spouse. You've created so many lies that you have trouble keeping track of them. Oh, and the things you will do to get crack. You will never imagine your life to be this way. I never thought I would take others' belongings to a pawn shop, steal from my parents, or use other people's credit cards. The first hit is awesome, but you spend the rest of your life wasting money and chasing that first hit. I am so ashamed of my behavior. I wasted thousands of dollars on nothing but a tiny white rock and a crack pipe. My husband and I could have bought a house, but instead we got a divorce. These are the words of a recovered addict who never thought that one hit could lead to this amount of destruction. Today I will further inform you on what addictions are, why addictions start, and how addicts perceive themselves in society. In this speech, you will learn that addictions are dependencies that can harm a person's body as well as their environment. That there is not one singular component that can be attributed to triggering an addiction, and that an addict can either believe that their behavior is negatively affecting people around them or is not affecting people around them at all. Now let's move on to learn more about what addiction really is. An addiction is mostly known as a physical and psychological dependence on psychoactive substances, which the cross of a blood-brain barrier once ingested, temporarily altering the chemical environment in the brain. Some examples of psychoactive substances are alcohol, tobacco, heroin, and other drugs. An addiction could also be a physical and psychological dependence on any type of act or feeling. An addiction becomes a true addiction when there becomes a physical or psychological dependence on an act or substance. This is true whether the person realizes the addiction or not. After an addiction is established, the person feels as if they have to participate in this act or substance. The addicted will then use any means to use or do their specific addiction. A person can be addicted to nearly anything that gives them a sense of security or pleasure. Most common addictions are addictions to drugs, alcohol, stealing, eating, smoking, sex, bad habits, dieting, and working out. There are many more things that a person could be addicted to, like tanning, video games, hoarding animals, shopping, pulling out hair, cleaning, etc. Addictions are physical and psychological dependencies on an act or substance. A person could be addicted to nearly anything, but what activates an addiction? An addiction can be triggered by something as basic as attending a social event, the first experimentation with marijuana, a one-night stand, or peer pressure. Also, a person could become psychologically or physically dependent on a prescribed drug that was initially given for legitimate reasons, such as pain management. There is not one singular component that could be attributed to triggering an addiction. 1 of every 8 Americans has a significant problem with alcohol or drugs. Approximately 27 million of Americans either use illicit drugs regularly or are heavy drinkers. Of these, almost 16 million are estimated to need immediate treatment. Approximately 70% of illegal drug users are employed and contribute significantly to workplace accidents, injuries, decreased productivity, increased insurance expenses, employee turnover costs, and on-the-job violence. Most of the time, enabling is done by family members or sympathizers. They often begin enabling unknowingly in an attempt to be kind and helpful. For example, a person may wake another up so they are not late to their job. By doing so, they may help them avoid the consequences that they should face for oversleeping because they were using drugs or drinking late into the night. Enablers loan addicts money over and over again, and they are surprised when the addicts use it to buy more drugs or alcohol. An example of this is when we give an addict money while they're begging on the side of the road. By giving an addict money, their enabler is feeding the addict's addiction. We can stop enabling by following the addicts to face up to their consequences, allowing them to learn from their actions. A person's addiction can be triggered by many different situations. They can unknowingly fueled by those around them, but those enablers can stop their actions. After these addictions are in effect, the addict can believe that their addictions are right or wrong. An addict can either believe that their behavior is negatively affecting people around them or not affecting people around them at all. Ultimately, this belief will allow them to seek rehab for their addiction or deny that there is anything wrong at all. An addict can have a reaction of ignorance for those around them, allowing the addict to continue their unhealthy behavior without feeling remorse for their actions. On the other hand, the addict can realize that what they're doing is harmful and learn how to change their actions. Most of the time, it takes an addict constant trial and error to realize that what they're doing is hurting those around them. When the addict comes to this realization, they can move forward and get help for themselves. Rehab can only work for addicts who come into the program looking to better themselves. There are some addicts who check into rehab for the well-being of others. An example of this is if a husband checks into rehab for his alcoholism because his wife told him that he needs help. The husband did not check into rehab for his well-being, but to make his wife happy. Therefore, he will not see his addiction subside in the near future. An addict can either realize that what they are doing is wrong and seek help, or let their problem fester and hurt those around them. Today, you have learned what addictions are, why addictions start, and how addicts perceive themselves in society. During this speech, you have learned that addictions are dependencies that can harm a person's body as well as their environment. That there is not one singular component that can be attributed to triggering an addiction, and an addict can either believe that their behavior is negatively affecting people around them or not affecting people at all. Thank you for your time.